Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Dead End Sports Podcast. This is a weekly sports podcast. We would like to thank you for tuning in as you do each and every week. I am your host, 12 Kyle. This is a weekly sports podcast. We like to call it the best couple of hours of your sports week. This is the place where sports opinions collide. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, I will not be doing this podcast alone. Joining me are the homies. First up, my man Beezy, 430. Beezy, what up, though?
What up, though? What's good, man? 2-0 Giants, Lions, man, you know?
Yeah, man.
Got a real test with the Falcons this upcoming Sunday, so it should be pretty interesting.
No doubt. Yo, man, shout out to B, man. I had a good time. Came through. He invited me over to the new crib Sunday afternoon, and B's pops was in town, so I got a chance to meet him. Real cool cat, man. Just the exact same as B. The exact same. I mean, mannerisms, everything. I mean, like they're like twins, man. But man, really enjoyed that, man. Spent most of Sunday afternoon watching the first and second game over there, man. B threw some food on the grill. The brother can cook. So he did his thing, man. He did his thing. So man, I definitely appreciate that. Definitely gonna return the favor before the season is over. Also the homie Ken is here. Ken, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? I hate I missed it just hit me today. I hit B. It was like, oh snap, I totally forgot about his dad, because I hate I miss Pops, man. But yeah, Kyle, cool. He really is, man. Got that Detroit flavor to him.
Yes. And Rod came through for a little while, and he said what's up. And but yeah, man, I really enjoyed it, man. We talk football because
everything.
Yeah, we talked about everything. We talked about football, about music, about baseball. Because the games really weren't much to talk about, but I enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed it. So hopefully next time he comes down, man, we all can get together. And the homie FIFO will be joining us he'll be joining us momentarily. So we'll bring him on as soon as he gets here. Crazy week in the NFL, both on and off the field. College football is hot and heavy. This particular podcast, man, we're gonna actually have it kind of mixed up. We're gonna talk a little bit of, we're gonna talk a lot NFL, and we're gonna talk a lot of NBA as well, because the NBA is seems like this has been an ongoing theme. The NBA is back in the news again. But first up, man, we had some great college football this past weekend, as well as NFL. Not as much, but nonetheless, man. So let's start right there. B, what, as far as the NCAA and the NFL, what stood out to you this past week?
I mean, of course, my Lions getting that Monday night win.
Indeed.
I was worried. I was just worried because I'm like, how Lions always choke when they got the spotlight on them. But, they handled it well on the road. That was definitely my highlight of the weekend. Another highlight, Seattle and San Fran game. Seattle, they having some issues, I think, with that offensive line, and then the fact that they don't have no run game. Russell Wilson was just running for dear life every time he hiked the ball. Yeah, that definitely was a stud. That was an ugly 12-9 victory from Seattle, but it was an ugly victory. But I'm pretty sure they took it anyway. But that game stood out for me. Broncos, I think Broncos and Oakland. It's Broncos. I guess Broncos defense is still as good as advertised when they won a Super Bowl the year before last with Peyton Manning's last year. Their defense seemed to be clicking, either that or just Dallas was just out of sync. And then the Raiders, man, they are starting to look like a true form team in the AFC that can compete for that AFC top spot with the Patriots and the Steelers, man. Like them boys, like they can score with the best of them. They defense, still a lot of young. They got some good young talent, but other than that, I think Raiders, man, as long as they stay healthy, if all they big guns can stay healthy this whole entire season into the postseason, we might have something with them, man. You never know. I mean, you might have something right there. But yeah, those are the games that stood out. I think the Raiders, Denver defense still looked strong. I mean, with that defense, if the quarterback can kind of act like he wants to play, right. Denver can be another team. Yeah, Denver can be another team that can be a force to be reckoned with. And then Seattle. I know Seattle. It's been seasons where Seattle start off kind of ruggish, and then by like week 8, week 9, they get it going. So maybe this might be another one of those seasons. But right now, Seattle do not look like the cream of the crop. One of the cream of the crop of the NFC. And I think me and Kyle, or either me and FIFO, predicted them to be in the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. So
we did.
Right now, they're not looking like a Super Bowl contender, a team that can make it. But, we'll see.
No doubt. No doubt. What about you, Ken? College football and NFL, man. What stood out to you?
Florida Gators. That win over Tennessee. Man, what was that head coach thinking? Playing man defense on a Hail Mary play. Everybody knows you sit in the zone and you knock it down. That corner got burned. And so shout out to them, man. Great win for them, and really added to the highlight package of college football. Lamar Jackson, man, my boy didn't come through. He looked off. He looked erratic. He looked drugged. Something was up with him. I mean, Clemson's defense is legit, but they had a chance to really show what they were capable of, and they didn't get it done. And Lamar Jackson just couldn't get in the rhythm. The brother is still electric. He had a couple of electrifying runs, but overall, man, he didn't put together the complete package. And to beat a team like Clemson, that's what you need, and they prove why they were ranked that high. And that quarterback, I think, will only get better. I'm not sold on him just yet, but he definitely showed some things. So shout out to Clemson and shout out to him as well. Sam Arnold has struggled in the first couple of games to open up the season, and people still are really, really hyped on this guy. But he's struggling against mediocre teams. I don't know what's going on with that, but whenever I look up, he's in a close game or he's losing. Same thing with that Rosen kid, Josh Rosen, who lost this weekend to Memphis. Shout out to Memphis, man. As he said on Twitter, the walk-ons versus the 5 stars. So I thought that was really, really dope, man, for them to go out and get that win. And although I thought it was a bone-headed play to call the fake punt, when you could have forced them to march down the field and score a touchdown, I think it was only a boneheaded play because they didn't execute. I would have preferred, if you're going to go for it, just line up and just go for it. Because we saw in that game, for those of you that watched it, that UCLA had no problems marching up and down the field, so you definitely put your team at risk. But they got it done, so shout out to them. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. I'm pretty sure that gift will be used forever and ever for as long as social media lasts. But, man, I love how carefree he is, how he's just loving life, man. Like, I don't recall him really being this way. When did Marshawn Lynch become the guy that he is now? Before then, he was just a guy in Buffalo running over people. Now he's like this guy that everybody just loves. It's just this transformation over the last few years is crazy. Did it happen when he started talking about he didn't want to get fined? He's only there because he don't want to get fined. When did
kind of sort of? Yeah, kind of sort. I mean, the personality really, he was always a wild card, but the personality really kind of came out in when he was in Seattle, and this was even before they made that Super Bowl run. This is who he is, man, and he's a Oakland cat through and through. And I think being in Seattle, what it does is, and we've heard this thousands of times, players love playing for Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll, really encourages his players to be themselves and be who they are. And the only thing he asks is that they show up and do their job. And, as long as you're doing that, you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, just look at all the personalities that we've seen on Seattle's teams over the years. So I think that really kind of helped, bring that out. And, after that, then once he got the success and he was dope at the same time, hey, man, beast mode.
Yeah, it's just interesting, man, like seeing everybody loves him. And, Kyle B, that the NFL is all about the NFL and not the individual brands. And you know what? You're right, because Seattle has individual brands on that team. Just looking at everybody just talk about Marshawn Lynch, I'm like, I don't remember you guys talking about Marshawn Lynch like this a couple of years ago. So Okay, well that's cool. Yeah, I was just kind of curious about that. The last thing I have is that the NFL ratings are down again. Like, and there's Colin Kaepernick is not in the league. So, what you guys gonna blame it on now? I mean, so there's that. And the first few games of the NFL is nothing but preseason. They're absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know what they need to do, but they're just unbearable to watch. I didn't really watch any football this weekend. So.
You ain't missed much. It was only like a couple of games. I do have a question for you, Ken, because I am seeing that too about the ratings being down. Do you attribute, because we know that, and we know some people, even some people who are listening to this podcast, have decided to boycott the NFL. Because the question I have is, do you think that is the Kaepernick effect or the other boycott? Because what some people aren't talking about is that there is a huge segment of people that have tuned the NFL out because of the player protests, which stems from last year. So, ratings were down a little bit last year, and they attributed to, the election, and, now they're saying, okay, well, it's player protests. So I'm seeing the people who are boycotting because of Colin Kaepernick kind of celebrating, saying that, yay, our protest is working, but it's probably more people that are protesting the NFL and not for Kaepernick. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it very well could be. Like, there could be like a reverse protest going on, right? Like last year, It was people saying, hey, I'm not watching because Colin Kaepernick disrespect the flag, and I'm not watching until he's out of the NFL. He's out of the NFL, but now you have black people and people that support black people and people, non-people of color, that are saying, hey, well, you guys are doing this brother wrong, so I'm not going to watch because of that. So you guys are basically reinforcing the inequality that he was, protesting about. So it could very well be. I know I'm not interested in the NFL. I don't know what's affecting that mood. It very well could be hangover from how they are doing him, and the games haven't really been that good, and there are no interesting storylines in the NFL for me to really get behind. I think there's a star turnover that we're in the middle of, because Peterson is going out, Breeze is losing. People tired of Tom Brady, people tired of Aaron, So I think that we have to find new guys to follow. Will we follow Fournette and Dalvin Cook and all these new crop of guys? And I think to go back to the question about, well, now it's the players protesting. That stuff is not really getting covered like that the way it was last year.
Right.
So the media may mention it, but it's not the story. So they can't blame it on that. I think that it could be us boycotting it, or people just are not interested. But to me, what that tells me is that, or what I'm starting to peel from it, is that the NFL ratings were not down because of Colin Kaepernick last year. It was just something that they put out there.
And you know what, Ken, to piggyback on that point, I think part of the reason why the NFL ratings are down is because, honestly, at least right now, there's not a lot of good football on. I mean, like, you can see games that are very compelling on Saturdays. I mean, no, do we always see a game like Florida and Tennessee? No, but those more often not. Even the Texas USC game, a game that went in double overtime. Those games, think about it, there's more weighing on the line, because in college football, depending on when you lose, if you lose the first week or two, you might still be okay as far as postseason play. But if you get a couple of L's, and technically, you're done as far as, trying to make it to the bowl championship series. But the games are more appealing. The games are more fun. The games, seem to have more excitement. The only thing I would ask people that are listening to this podcast is, ask yourself, genuinely speaking, outside of the team that you root for, how many teams in the NFL would you just sit down and watch on a particular Sunday? My guess is that the number it probably isn't as high as you think it would be. It's because, like I said, it's just not a lot of good football going on. I would probably want to see what the ratings look like on the backside of the first half of the season, because, if you think about it, some of the sloppy play that we've seen, keep in mind, these players haven't played. This is really like you said, preseason for them. because most starters don't play a lot during the preseason, if at all. So, but that's not to take anything from the ratings being down. I think it's a domino effect. I think it's part of, the people who, kind of boycotted the NFL because they didn't want to see the protest. I think the Kaepernick, boycott has had an effect. And I think more importantly, I think it's some bad football. And if you're not a diehard fan, and you're not a diehard fan of a particular team, you're probably not going to watch. But that's a very good point, Ken. My takeaway from this past weekend, like you mentioned, Florida, Tennessee, I don't understand how you can give up that play. I mean, the safety, you got to get back and you got to stay back. You can't allow a receiver to run past you. I mean, at the very least, I understand that, with 9 seconds left, they had a timeout. Could they have thrown a 20-yard pass, caught it, kicked the field goal from 50 yards? But yeah, I would take my chances in doing that. You can't let a receiver get behind you. And the Franks quarterback from Florida, maybe they didn't think his arm was that strong, but he got it. Then he hit the receiver in stride. So, big up to Florida for the win. Lamar Jackson, Clemson's. I think Lamar Jackson's inefficiency had more to do with Clemson's defense. I think, and it's only been 3 games, but right now I think Clemson's defense. You can make a case that Clemson has the best defense in the country. I think, and of course they still have to play Florida State, which I don't think without, DeAndre Francois, I don't think that's going to be a problem for Clemson. But this team looks good. And the new quarterback, while he's not Deshaun Watson, he stood in there and he's, he threw the ball, spread the ball out. And, Clemson looks good, man. They look like the real deal. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. But college football, again, this past weekend was off the chain. As far as the NFL, a couple of notes I got here. Shout out to Greg Olsen from the Carolina Panthers, broke his foot. He's going to be out. They said he's going to be out and he's going to miss at least 6 games. So he has not missed a game since 2007, his rookie year. So it's going to be unfortunate to see him go down. Speaking of injuries, due to Hurricane Irma, this past Sunday was the first game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they were a mass unit. Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Gerald McCoy, the Alexander, the linebacker, they all got hurt this past weekend. So, we're starting to see some of the ripple effects of the rust, comes from not playing. This past Thursday night, I don't know if any of you listening watched that game between the Bengals and the Texans. That game was trash. And like Ken said, I mean, if you want to know why the ratings are down, we text this amongst each other. I don't understand why the NFL even had this game. Think about it. On a Thursday night, the Bengals and the Texans. And then, by the time you listen to this podcast, this coming Thursday, the game is going to be the 49ers and the Rams. I mean, that's not a Thursday night game that you want to see. So, I mean, I give anybody props who actually sits and watches that. But this past Thursday night, man, Andy Dalton, Ken's boy, he was straight doo-doo, man. I mean, I haven't seen a starting quarterback fall off this bad. He has gotten so bad that there are rumors that there are players on the team that want him to be benched, and they want the Bengals to bring in Colin Kaepernick. Now, that's not going to happen, but nonetheless, it's still crazy in and of itself. As far as the Falcons got their offense back on track, opened up the new Benz here in downtown Atlanta. The offense looked really, really good, man. Steve Sarkisian, they look really good against Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay has struggled against the Falcons here in the last year or two, which is kind of weird. But Green Bay had a lot of people hurt and mashed up. I have the funny feeling that these two teams will see each other again. Ken's boy Cam Newton showed up at the press conference looking like somebody's cousin. Carolina is 2-0, but Cam Newton's kind of banged up. He left the game with an ankle injury. I think it was the ankle that he had gotten surgery on. So got to keep a watch out for that. And last but not least, man, he's a fantasy superstar, man. Kareem freaking Hunt from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 2-0, man. The Chiefs are 2-0. This dude, Kareem Hunt, he has become the first. I think he had 148 yards against New England. And then I think he went for over 100 yards this past weekend. So he scored 2 touchdowns against the Philadelphia Eagles, man. So he is off to a great start. I know people on fantasy football are loving him. He had a 53-yard run. I think they said he became like the 3rd player in NFL history to have more than 50-yard runs in his first 2 games. So yeah, man, that guy he's looking like the real deal. And of course, it's early. Kansas City is off to a 2-0 start. And last but not least, man, if any of you follow me on Twitter, you know that when I'm watching football, the one position that I am very, very hard on and I kind of despise is the kicker. Kickers, man, you got one job, and I'm not very sympathetic for kickers because the kicker that I played with in college, I loved him to death, still love him to death. But he was money when we called on him. But I'm not really happy with kickers these days. One kicker in particular, kicker from San Diego Chargers by the name of Young Ho Koo. Not to be confused with old ho. This Young Ho had a field goal block last week and missed the opportunity to hit the game. He's laughing over there. He had the opportunity to make the game winner, man. You can't miss a game winner from 44 yards, man. I don't know the brother Young Ho, but man, hey Ho, listen, Ho, you got to get your mind right, man. You got to get your mind right, or you ain't gonna be around long. That's what the NFL stands for, not for long for kickers, man. I'm telling you. So that's my take on this past week with college football and the NFL. Joining us is the homie FIFO. FIFO, what up, man?
Yo, what it do?
Man, we're just talking. We're just getting it started, man. What did you take away this weekend from the NFL and college football?
Really didn't watch much college football. You know, I'm not the guy when it comes to the college football. I'm just not. But the NFL. Can I change my Super Bowl pick?
Who is your Super Bowl pick, man?
I picked Seattle out the NFC.
Oh yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I need to change that.
It's 2 games, dog. It's 2 games.
It don't matter. Look, I already know who's the best team in the NFC, and it's not the team I originally picked. Them boys need to do something over there in Seattle, man. That it is bad. It is bad. But damn Falcons, man. I think the Falcons are the best team, the best roster in the NFL right now, and I don't say that lightly. When you watch these boys play on defense, they're a top 5 defense and they're a top 5 offense. And it's not just about having weapons. It's about having a system for those weapons to thrive in. And what the Atlanta Falcons have, if they stay healthy like they did last year, oh my God. I think they can go back to the Super Bowl. I think we're really for real. And I reserve to change my pick to the Falcons representing the NFC this year.
Okay. You trusting the Georgia team? What?
Yeah.
He said you trusting the Georgia team?
Yeah. No. Look. I'm sticking with it. They made it last year. So you know what? Look, they have a track record. I've always said Matt Ryan has been nice, and now he's in the perfect situation. Not like, sometimes franchise players, they get stuck on an island. Like, yeah, I'm like, look at Andrew Luck. Like, yeah, I'm great, but what has the organization done for me? Oh, they've gone leaps and bounds. What's the owner's name? I'm drawing a blank. Arthur Blank.
Yeah. Arthur
Blank has done his job. He hired the right GM. The GM did what he had to do. The Falcons really impressed me. They really impressed me. The NFL, man, it's kind of what we thought they were. The NFC East looks bad. We don't know who's good outside of Philly. They're definitely taking strides, but everybody else looks like crap. The NFC West is surprisingly bad, except for, they're surprisingly bad. I was thinking about the Raiders. That's AFC.
The AFC West is tight, though.
No, AFC West is tight.
3 teams are 2-0 already.
But no, man, just another great NFL season. Nothing particularly that I took away outside, I really think the Falcons are for real.
Okay. FIFO in week 2 changing the Super Bowl pick. My man. My man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You have to like Shannon Sharp on the show. Shannon Sharp be changing his picks too.
Hey, Shannon changed picks like every week. Speaking of the NFL, man, we saw the Dallas Cowboys go into Mile High Stadium and get beat down by the Denver Broncos. I mean, Denver smoked them like a Philly blunt in the boys' dorm. It was just that bad, man. I mean, we have yet to see the Dak and Zeke show, come off the hinges like that. Ezekiel Elliott, 9 rushes for 8 yards. That means he had 8 yards more than the 4 of us right now. So in saying all of that, B, I'll start with you, man. Do you think something's wrong with Dallas? And do you think, I know we talk all the time, but you spoke about this a lot last year about teams getting a blueprint or getting, film on guys and having time to study them. And teams have had a whole season. Prescott didn't look particularly impressive against, the Giants, but, Zeke could run all over the Giants. But here they came up against a defense that, they clearly stacked the box and they clearly said, Dak, you're going to beat us. Des Bryant and what's the little wide receiver? Willie Nelson?
Beasley.
Beasley. Yeah, he couldn't get off. They couldn't get off the jams and they couldn't get open. So do you think teams have figured out Dak Prescott?
I think that's part of it. I've been saying that, and I said that going into the season. I was like, it's going to be interesting to see how, Zeke and Dak perform this season. I mean, in this upcoming season. Granted, this is the second game, only the second week, so we're going to find out. But I think part of that is just now, teams are going to figure it out. Try to see, okay, Dak was weak in this area, or he was weak in that area. Let's try to make him, do stuff that's uncomfortable for him and that O line to make sure Zeke is not running the ball effectively. So I think definitely that's part of it, man. I've always said this, man. That the second year we're gonna see what Dak is about because teams got time. Last year they caught everyone by surprise. This year we're gonna see what he can do and if he can make adjustments as a QB to try to make better his game and make sure that teams won't home in on certain things and make him look weak and then he'll be a forgotten QB. How you go from one year everybody all up on you now it's like Dak who? So I'm ready to see how the rest of this season going to play out. But that game as I was watching, I was like, yep, they starting to get that film on them and they starting to get that blueprint. So
I agree with points that B made, but I don't all the way agree. Mainly because Denver has the personnel to do what they did, and not everybody can do what they did. And that's a big thing about it. And we saw how Von Miller, once he knew that they had to go pass, this man was jumping every snap. How many penalties did he have down the stretch? Just him personally?
Man, about 3 or 4.
Exactly, and he's one of the best pass rushers. So obviously he's going to get pressure. Obviously, what's his name? Talib. I want to say Talib Kweli.
Akeem Talib.
Akeem Talib. I got it backwards.
Shout out to Kweli.
But you know what I'm saying? He was out there, man. He should have had like 4 picks.
Right.
This man done dropped like 2 of them, and like one of them was a gimme. So not everybody has that level of personnel on 3 levels. You know what I'm saying? Outside in the cornerback, the linebackers are fast. They could play man, and then they could just let their pass rushers get to Dak. And if they shut down the run while they do that, man, any team is good. It's going to be hard for any team to put up points against Denver. Let's be honest. They're still a great defense. But their offense, I think it was Dallas's defense that kind of surprised me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's still too early to say that the jury is out on Dak. Look, man, Denver's going to be a top 5 defense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As long as Trevor Siemian and that Denver offense doesn't give up the ball, that's going to be a top 5, top 7 defense, guaranteed. So not everybody can do that. So, but here's the thing. I think what's interesting is if you shut down the run, is that the key to shutting down Dak? I think that'll be a question. But we got to see other teams. Like 2 games in,
Yeah, it's still early. It's still
and
early.
it being Denver, man, like that's a bona fide squad, man, like a bona fide defense. So I don't know. I can't take too much stock just yet. Give me about week 5, then I'll let you know.
Okay. Ken, I noticed that you tweeted, that you couldn't wait to get on the podcast to tell us what was wrong with Dallas. So, my brother, the floor is yours.
Man, both of y'all totally got this thing wrong. Like, you guys make great points, and you know what? I think there's some validity in your statements. But for me, the problem with the Dallas Cowboys is that they got Russell Wilson syndrome. It's just that simple, man. Russell Wilson syndrome, meaning that they are trying to turn Dak Prescott into the star of that team by having him throw 50 times. Yeah, Kyle, I heard everybody's talking about they stacking the box and we're gonna make Dak Prescott the beat us and instead of Zeke. But what does Dallas do best? They run the ball, and I know that they keep running it down their throats. That's when Dak Prescott is at his best. But no. All we heard last year was Dak Prescott this, Dak Prescott that, Dak Prescott over here, Dak Prescott underrated, Dak Prescott, like it's all about Dak Prescott. And now coming into the season, same thing. All about Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott. He's gonna be the guy. And that's what they tried to do. They tried to make this guy out to be Troy Aikman or somebody like that. And what did Troy Aikman do when he was the quarterback? Troy Aikman didn't throw that much. Why? Because he had Emmitt Smith. And that's it. This is a clear example of what happened in Seattle and why Seattle lost the Super Bowl. Instead of giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch, they wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero. The same thing is happening in Dallas, where they are trying to turn Dak Prescott into this cowboy hero. And it's not going to work. They need to get away from trying to make him the guy and hand the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. He is the engine that makes that car run. Yes, the Denver Broncos have an elite defense, but if that's the best you can do against a defense that great, they got problems. They ain't winning anything. If this keeps up and they keep trying to make that and y'all know Dak Prescott's my guy. Man, I watched him at Mississippi State, and he was that dude. But everybody that's listened to this show, that's on this show, know that team moves when Zeke is able to move. And if he can't beat them, and we saw that he couldn't beat them, then no, it's not going to happen. They need to get back to what they do best, and that's running the football. They have Russell Wilson syndrome. That's what this is.
Wow.
I know.
You broke it down, man. You broke it down.
I'm telling you. Watch. It's right there. And if this continues in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be like Feetpo. I'm going to be like, man, I'm changing my pick. I had the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, you did. I think that's you make some great points. I think I'm gonna.
He didn't make no great points.
Yes, I did. B. Stop hating. You just mad you to think of it.
Actually, I think everybody made a great point. I actually agree with FIFO 100%, man. I think I'm not as quick to push the panic button because Denver, what they are able to do defensively, like you said, everybody doesn't have that type of personnel. Where you can put, Denver's got 3 elite corners. So they, the no-fly zone is in full effect when you drop back to pass against them. And they said basically like, look, Dak, you're going to have to beat us and you're going to have to dink and dunk. You're going to have to throw these little 5-yard outs to Witten and, you're going to have to beat us like that. And I'm waiting for and what was interesting was, and I think I said this last year, I was waiting for the point where Dallas would have to fall behind and change their game plan as to how they would attack via the air. Dallas last year, their MO was to get up on teams and then just run Zeke down your throat. After a while, when you got those big ugly guys up front laying on you for 3.5 quarters. Yeah, fourth quarter, even if Zeke didn't have the yardage, he was going to pop one at some point in time because they just wear you out. The Cowboys, unlike most teams in the NFL, they run the ball to set up the pass. It's kind of like, in the NBA having a team that would rather set up the post player first as opposed to, fanning it outside and shooting J's and threes and what have you. So I'm not necessarily going to write Dallas off per se and say something is wrong or anything like that. The reason being is that, it's a lot of time left. It's only 2 games in the season. And when I look at the rest of the division, I mean, the Giants don't look good at all. The Redskins, they are the Redskins. I mean, what more do you want me to say? The Eagles, they're just not there yet. They're going to be up and down, have a young quarterback and young talent. So I think the division is still the Cowboys to lose. Now, if you're talking about going beyond the division deep into the playoffs, no, in that point, Ken's right. They can't get away from the formula that, that's going to take them there. They're going to have to be able to do that. And to FIFO's point, unless you have a team that is like Denver that can stack the box and take on these guys one-on-one, what's the guy? Dez. Dez not looking too good. Dez is not looking, a couple of years ago, he was a, top 5 receiver. Dez isn't looking like that. He hasn't played like that probably. And I know last year was banged up, but we'll see, man. I mean, 2 games in, I think, around, like FIFO said, around game 5, game 6, you kind of have an idea and an identity as to what your team is. But Dak he's going to have to play better. And more often than not, there are going to be teams that are going to say, look, you got to beat us. And they will live with Dak Prescott throwing for 300 yards. I don't know that's, and I'll have to go back and check his stats because I don't know that he actually has thrown for 300 yards yet.
Not a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot. But he can. And look, the Dallas Cowboys cost me a fantasy football win this weekend. When I finally got away from this computer,
it always comes back to fantasy.
I'm just saying, when I looked up and saw throw after throw after throw after throw, and they were on the 3-yard line, and they couldn't even get. They ran it, and then they threw it, and then they scored a touchdown. Whatever, that's good. But I'm just saying, like, they just kept throwing the ball, and I'm like you said, Cal, you have to continue running it. Eventually you'll wear them guys out. It's supposed to be the best offensive line in the football, right? At some point when the fourth quarter comes along, then he'll pop one. And Trevor Siemian kept giving the ball back, they couldn't do anything with it. It's terrible.
Well, one thing that, and we were talking about it when we were watching the game at B's crib, was that there was a lightning delay that delayed the game for over an hour. Dallas wasn't looking too good prior to the delay. And that delay happened, I want to say, with like maybe 2 minutes left in the first quarter. So you have to go back in the locker room. You sit for an hour. It was right at about an hour and 10 minutes in the locker room, waiting on the storm to pass or the lightning to pass in the area, whatever like that. When they came out, they were even flatter than what they were prior to them, coming out. So, maybe that had something to do with it as well. But, tip my hat to Denver. Denver balled out of control. So we'll see what happens, man. Dallas is, they're 1-1, and like I said, again, it's only 2 games. But Dak Prescott, for them to go further, he's going to have to play better. And Ezekiel, he's going to have to give better effort. I mean, 8 yards is not going to cut it. I don't know. There really weren't a lot of running lanes, but he's going to have to. The 2 of them are going to have to play better, in order for them to get where they're trying to go. Moving it to the NBA. I'll be honest, we didn't even anticipate talking about the NBA this week, but the NBA is back in the news. Your man Kyrie Irving actually did something that people rarely do. He actually sought out First Take. First Take didn't ask him to be on ESPN's First Take. He actually contacted them and then went on and sat with Stephen A. Smith as well as Max Kellerman. And they asked him questions about, his trade request and leaving Cleveland and, the interview. So we're going to break it down here. I guess we've all seen the interview. I'll start first with you, FIFO. What was your overall feeling about this interview?
Damn, I didn't know Kobe was like 25. that was the first thing. I was like, yo, did this, the way Kobe took a Jordan class, did Kyrie take a Kobe class? Like it was kind of crazy.
It's funny you say that.
So talking about, I only deal with realism and what's real in this, that. Like, look, man. Why? What the question I wish that they would have asked him was, why were you unhappy? When you say you just want to be happy and to perfect your craft, then what made you unhappy?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he talked about all of the stuff that goes with just playing in terms of the outside, but that's gonna be anywhere, dog, especially if you trying to win. So I don't know. It was interesting, like you said, Kyle. Like, this doesn't really happen. Like the guys don't hit up the networks and be like, yeah, I'm about to come on. So I give Kyrie a lot of credit, but he had a lot of good points as well. He said when he made the decision, he kept it as professional. He kept it patient. You know what I'm saying? He waited for the right moment. So you can do nothing but respect that. And he said he was quiet. So then where did all of this come from then? Right? So obviously somebody with knowledge of the situation leaked this to the media. So I don't know, man. I think I think there is something between Kyrie and LeBron, because if there was nothing, the nature of the conversation wouldn't feel the way it felt.
Right.
Like every time that they asked about LeBron, it was awkward. And it wasn't because Kyrie made it awkward. Kyrie answered. He was like, so am I supposed to ask LeBron for permission?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
In fact, I'll read it to you. I'll read you the transcript from it. He said, Stephen A asked, he said, did you speak with LeBron before making the trade? Kyrie said, no. He said, why not? He said, why would I have to? And Stephen A said, you could see how someone could take it personally. Kyrie said, and I quote, it's not anything personal. I'm not here to tirade anybody. I'm not here to go at any particular person or the organization, because I have nothing but love for Cleveland. I have nothing but love for the times that I spent there. There's nothing about that. It comes to a time when you mature as an individual. It's time to make that decision. And there's no looking back from that standpoint. There's no time to figure out how to save someone's feelings when you ultimately have to be selfish in that figuring out what it is that you want to do. It wasn't about me not wanting to win. It wasn't about anything like that. I wanted to be extremely happy in perfecting my craft. So again, to me, he makes it clear that he wasn't happy in Cleveland. What do you take from that?
So okay. So he addressed it later on, right? Where he was saying how Max or everybody, the media, the perception of Kyrie, because he plays with LeBron, is a weapon, is an assassin. And Kyrie clearly stated that that's just a part of my game. And I look forward to becoming a better overall point guard. Playing with LeBron James, right? And I've always said this. Because he's a point forward, you don't need a prototypical point guard. You need a scoring point guard. A guy. That's the reason why Mo Williams, his lone All-Star year, was in Cleveland, because playing with LeBron, he didn't have to play point guard. He could just go get buckets.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why Kyrie and LeBron can play together. But it's sounding like Kyrie wants to be able to do it all. And you can't do it all when you play with Bron. Maybe there's other facets, offensively, defensively, everything, because even Max called him out on his defense. But if Kyrie is able to mature his game and take his games to other levels, I can see how it would be difficult under the spotlight of LeBron, the shadow of LeBron, everything that's happening with Cleveland and LeBron. If I'm going to face this, I might as well do it under my terms, because I believe that I'm the best guy in the league. And to be great, even if you're not the greatest, you have to believe you're the greatest.
Right.
And Kyrie alluded to that as well. So I understand where he's coming from. I thought, honestly, when LeBron went back, that they were gonna, live happily ever after and win championships. But I understand. I get it. And there's nothing wrong with Kyrie doing what he did, because he handled it in the way he was supposed to handle it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if these thoughts are crossing your mind, he said, just like all of us at our job. If stuff keeps happening, and it's not that you hate the job, but just certain things that keep happening, you're like, you know what? Is it time for me to go on, to move on? Like, should I leave the department? You know what I'm saying? Should I go? Should I leave the company? If that's how Kyrie feels, that he can elevate his game and promote his game to a level that we wouldn't see under LeBron, then it is what it is. He got to make that move, and I respect him for it.
Okay. What about you, B? What did you take away from this interview? That Kyrie had with First Take.
Man, that was straight. That was the epitome of Duke Blue Devil assholeness. That's what it was. That's what it was, man. That is straight up Duke Blue Devil asshole. Yeah, man. It's certain things you have to. Now, granted, I have no issue with him wanting to go to another team, wanting to be traded and everything, but I think it's good to kind of give the guy that you and him was pretty much like the forefront of the franchise. Kind of give him like a little heads up, saying, "Hey, man, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make this move over here, or I want to be traded to another team because I kind of want to be the man now. Whatever. Yeah." I think it should have been handled that way. For him to just be like, "Oh no, I don't need to say nothing to LeBron. Like I don't need to say nothing to him, or say nothing to." I'm pretty sure he probably said something to the organization, but like your teammate, the guy you was fighting in trenches with for 3 straight years, you wasn't even sniffing the championship until he got there, and you didn't even give him a heads up or anything, man. Like I think it's the same situation we talked about with the Westbrook and KD situation. It's like. Kind of at least give him a heads up. Huh? Yeah, throw him like a heads up.
No. FIFO's asking why are you saying that he owed him a heads up?
Because like these dudes been in war in trenches, man. It's like if
okay, I understand that, but what if I don't always like my battle buddy? Like what if you out here doing certain things? I'm looking at you like you dumb as hell. You should have been gave me the rock. You think even though we won 1 out of 3, like we could have won 2, but you out here trying to do too much. You should have just gave me the rock. I'm Kyrie. Nah, man.
I think as a business, you got at least. You don't want to burn that bridge, man. I think he should at least say something. I'm not saying gather up everyone, huddle up, nothing like that. It could have been a text message. A quick phone call, something. I'm not saying go over here and just give me a hug and say, "All right, man, I'm gonna miss you, man. I hope you do your thing and keep doing stuff with Uncle Drew." Like, no, just a simple text. Hey, man, I think I might, think about probably getting traded, once the free agency, starts or whatever. That's it. That's all. That's all you can do, man. Like, just shoot him something like that. But don't.
All right. So let me ask you something, B. Would it have been wrong for Kyrie to go to management first, ask for a trade, let them work behind the scenes, and then when something starts to percolate or be more official, you text LeBron like, "Hey, bro, like it's been good playing with you, whatever."
That'd have been fine. That'd have been cool.
Okay, but let's look at what the series of events were and what Kyrie said, and the reason why he made it a big point to say that he handled it professionally, because he was quiet. It got out in the media, and the media was able to spin and turn it however way, and now it's supposed to be me versus LeBron, and it was never that. It was never that. That's what he's saying. So if it was handled the way it was supposed to be handled, that conversation may have happened, maybe just at a different time, but it got to the media so quick that now, you don't know what to believe.
It sounds like he didn't expect it to get to the media, but how do you not expect that to get to the media when you're Kyrie Irving and you're telling your organization that you want to leave the greatest player in the game?
Right. Like, come on, you cannot think that wasn't gonna get out to the media.
Yeah, some things just aren't going to be. I mean, you know the old saying, a secret can only be held by one person. Once you tell somebody else, it's not a secret anymore. You're Kyrie Irving. You are on a championship caliber basketball team. I don't understand how you can even going to management. Somebody in management was going to go back and tell LeBron. Now, whether or not LeBron leaked it or whomever, we don't know whose camp leaked it, but I kind of agree with B. Like, at the very least, unless he had a problem with LeBron, then I think he should have
we
said
don't
something.
know about. It might come like 2 years later or something.
Exactly,
like
which tells me I think that he had a problem with LeBron. And that's cool. That might, I never, we all play team sports. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the star player and the 12th man on the bench are best friends. I'm not going to tell you that the starting quarterback on the team is the best friends with the kicker. They might be cool. They might say what's up to each other, but that might the only time they may ever interact is, at, the game. And the same with Kyrie and LeBron. We heard the rumors after all this stuff came out. We heard that, Kyrie had gone, a couple of practices without talking to people, during the playoffs, and he's kind of a loner type cat. So, I don't know, man. It's just, it sounds real. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish your point, B, and I'll throw it to Ken, but it's just weird to me, man.
Yeah, it was. And the way he was shooting down Max Kellerman, oh my God, that was so funny, and it makes me think. Like, I wonder what as a Boston organization, how would you what do you think about this whole situation as it fold out? If I'm Boston, like, is he going to turn around and do that to you guys or whatever?
I think Boston's happy. They're happy to get him. They'll figure out whether or not he can work. They'll figure that out, and they got a year and a half, 2 years to figure it out.
But I'm pretty sure they probably kind of side-eyeing it a little bit. But, yeah, if everyone's happy, Kyrie's happy, Boston happy, Cleveland's like they got the better end of the deal, then, hey, look, I can't wait till the season tip-off, man, when both of them teams play. I can't wait.
And he did admit, and as I was reading the transcript, I realized he kept talking about the word happy kept coming up. And then Stephen A. asked, "Are you happy now?" He said, "I'm ecstatic." So I don't know. Maybe he wasn't happy in Cleveland. I don't understand how he could not be happy in Cleveland. But we have to keep in mind that Kyrie spent 3 years in Cleveland, prior to LeBron coming back home, and so he knows what it's like to play in Cleveland without LeBron. And keep in mind that Kyrie was made all of these promises and these assurances that when he re-signed his contract extension, that they were going to build around him and he was going to be the man. And subsequently, 10 days later, LeBron James decides to come home and the whole thing flips. So who knows? There still could be some underlying animosity about that. Ken, what's your take on the interview, man?
Well, first of all, I'm glad Ralph pointed out the whole Kobe thing, because that was the first thing that I got from
Same here.
So I don't even have to go into that. I think when I watched it, Kyrie was well prepared. His statements and answers were well crafted. He was very astute. He was measured in his responses. And it was all a bunch of bullshit. That's really all it was.
Very dookish.
Yeah. And to me, man, is why he invited himself on the show, right? In politics, they do this sort of thing where they try to, if they're behind on a narrative, they try to at least get something on record to give people something else to talk about or talk, at least on their behalf. Kyrie has been a victim in all of this. I will say that, because it got out and he was, or felt that he was attacked unjustly in the media. But all I heard was people talking about mostly LeBron and why nobody wanted to play with LeBron. And there is something personal going on between them two, which is why Max kept asking the question and why Kyrie was being very dismissive about it. So, but Stephen A. did report that a while ago. He won't go into the details of what it is, but he knows. And that's why Stephen A. didn't really dive too much into it. And that's why Stephen A. wasn't all that upset about how Kyrie behaved. Not only does he have the experience covering the NBA, so this is apropos for him, but he already knows the real story anyway, or part of the story. Right. So he has information we don't know. But for Kyrie, this is all a means of controlling the narrative and shaping the story on how it will be told 10, 15, 20 years from now. And what he did was he's basically hiding behind personal choice and being happy. Things that makes it hard for people to argue or criticize someone for. So that's all. Cal, you just said it. He said happy a lot. There was a reason why he did that. And that's all I kept pulling from this. And, you know, there's more to this than meets the eye. But when this story is told and when people start to look this up, this is the official interview, the interview after the trade, and it's on record. It's documented now. It becomes part of history unless whatever else happened leaks out. But he was clearly agitated by comments that Matt said previously that he heard of, and by Matt's pushing to say, hey, man, if there's something going on, you know, just kind of let us know and we'll let it go. And he was like, man, you know, he just basically, Matt, you just care too much. And, you know, as a man, I want you to, you know, as a man, I want you to respect it. That's ego. That's Kyrie's ego. And as a star and as a guy that has that Mamba mentality, what else do you expect? It's there. He's going to have that. And he feels like LeBron has overshadowed him and probably that he doesn't get enough credit for hitting that game-winning shot. And he's ready to move on and do something else. And the one key point that I did take away from that I will give him credit for and that I'm interested in seeing, and Ralph talked about this earlier, is that, you know, he became like this assassin, and now he wants to expand his game and become a true point guard. And it will be interesting to see how he performs with a better coach, better players, a system, and, you know, whether or not he's going to be coachable. And I think he will, because if he's willing to go play for Pop, then he's a coachable guy. He played for Coach K, so he has to be coachable, right? So I don't think that'll be an issue. And but more importantly, as a point guard and a scoring point guard, how will his game change? What does being a true point guard mean? What does expanding his game mean? Because the most assists Kyrie's ever had in a season is 6.1. So, and a lot of that may have to do with the quality of players that was on that Cleveland team. So let's see if, you know, in Boston they start to kind of develop something around him, and if that actually goes up. We've seen him do it before, but again, like you said, that system in Cleveland was designed around LeBron and not necessarily him. So Kyrie, and the last thing, man, like I think the thing that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and who am I? Man, look, Kyrie has every right to do everything he says. I'm just a guy sitting here on a computer in a house in a tank talking about what he's done, right? So what I have to say means nothing. But for him to say that he plotted this all year long, like you came into the season knowing that you didn't want to be on that team, and like I don't know, man, that was, it's like nobody really picked up on that. Like he said he was very patient, and that explains a lot of what we heard in the offseason, and it could explain, remember that stretch that Cleveland had when they couldn't win a game, the second half after the All-Star game. Who knows, man, like there could be something more to that, and we always felt there would be. Maybe this was part of it. Kyrie just wasn't engaged, and you have to wonder how things would have turned out if he was fully engrossed into the process of winning a title and not plotting his move out of Cleveland.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. My only point I want to add is I think that's more troublesome to me, because if I'm LeBron and I'm thinking, okay, man, we're battling here. We're going to battle every day. And all this time you've been thinking about leaving, and you know, not once did you say, hey, man, I don't know, man. I'm thinking I want to leave. You know, does he owe LeBron something? No, he doesn't owe LeBron any apologies. And he, you know, relatively speaking, he was very complimentary, you know, but I agree with the first point that people made. He sounded like Kobe, you know, and I think deep down he really wants to be like Kobe. And there's nothing wrong with, idolizing Kobe. I heard your boy Windhorse, Brian Windhorse from ESPN talk about how, when they won the title, when they beat Golden State, they celebrated in the locker room, and, Kyrie hugged his father, he hugged his teammates, hugged his sister, and he went to his cell phone. And the first person he called was Kobe, and he FaceTimed with Kobe. Bruh, really? I mean, again, I don't know their relationship, but it just, that whole interview, man, it left me with more questions than it did answers. Because my thing is this, and I think Max was really trying to get it at Kyrie, and I think Max really would have been able to get at him had he been in the studio. Max was somewhere remote, but I think Kyrie kind of came off at times like, why are you asking, like, particularly with Max, he came off as like, why are you asking me these questions? And Max is like, bro, you asked to come on here. You do know that part of our job is to ask questions. So why are you looking offended or looking he was very smug, very coy in his answers and his responses. I think that interview left me with more questions. But one thing that I was able to kind of read between the lines is that if I didn't know it before then, and this is just my assumption, if I didn't know it before then, there's clearly a problem between he and LeBron. Now, LeBron might not have no problem with Kyrie, but Kyrie definitely has a problem with LeBron. And, like Ken said, maybe we'll find out about it 10, 15 years from now. My thing is, and I don't blame Kyrie for wanting to leave and go somewhere else and start over and start fresh. I only caution him in that he's 25. You only get a certain number of years to play, and you only get a certain number of years to play at a high level. And you don't want to sit back and look with regrets and say, well, man, I could have done this, or maybe I should have done this. But it's his life. It's 25. He probably feels like he can be in the same position that Kobe was in when Shaq left. So we'll see. Like B said, I'm game one, man. Game one, we're there. The season tips off Cleveland versus Boston. And I believe it's on TNT. And trust me, we will be talking about it because that would be must-see TV.
Yeah, and let's be real. A lot of people did jump on Kyrie. Like, Max was said some insulting things about Kyrie.
But you can understand why, though. And I'm not defending him, but you can understand why. Like, we are all, regardless of whether or not you're a fan of LeBron or not, we are all in awe of LeBron and his physical gifts and his mental stamina and everything that it is about LeBron. We just can't see someone in their prime saying, "No, I'm good. I don't want to play with that dude."
We're also in awe about Kyrie too, though.
But not like that, though, Ken. Like Kyrie, if we were ranking players, Kyrie's probably going to be. If we were ranking players, let's say, 1 to 10, Kyrie probably is going to be a top 10 player, but he's not number one. We can all make a case that LeBron is the best player in the game. I don't think in Kobe's prime, and not to compare Kobe and LeBron or Kobe and Jordan, but Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, Magic, Bird, I don't think any of those guys in their prime, you hear somebody say, "Nah, I don't want to play with that dude. I'm good."
Didn't he also say that he called LeBron the greatest player in the world, but then at the end of the show said KD was the best player in the world? Like, how you gonna throw a shot because he won the title? Let's throw in a little shot there, man. Man, come on. LeBron gonna dunk on him.
KD was the best in the world.
Okay, I'll read to you what he said. He said, "Is Kevin Durant catching LeBron as the best player in the game?" He said, "At this point, ? You reward guys for winning. He went to Golden State and won. He's a champion. He's a solidified champion, so he's able to be in those talks." And then they said, "Well, who's better, Kobe or LeBron?" He said, "Man, they're both up there. But in terms of who my favorite player is, first my dad, Kobe second. You know how I feel about that." Hey, bro, we ain't asked you that. We asked you who was better, Kobe or LeBron. And he changed
the non-answer is the answer. That's what I'm saying.
He said my favorite player is my dad first, then Kobe second. Okay, well, just say Kobe.
And the whole thing, my dad. Come on, that's that whole BS answer that he want to give that people fall in love with. Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
Man, I'm gonna let you in a little secret, Kyrie. A lot of people don't know who your dad is. And there's no disrespect to your dad, but on the real, I'm gonna keep it 100.
And your dad is supposed to be your hero. I understand. I get it.
But exactly. My dad is my hero too, but I'm not going to say my dad is the best basketball player. He wasn't. Favorite player? Come on, man. Come on. So we'll see how it pans out. But like V said, man, season tips off. Boston versus Cleveland. I am here for that.
And he said it without saying it, FIFO. You know he said it. He said it without saying it.
Speaking of the NBA, man, we had our boy Kevin Durant. Speaking of Kevin Durant, great segue. Kevin Durant, man, Twitter fingers. His Twitter fingers got wild. If you've been hiding under a rock, your boy Kevin Durant came under some scrutiny this past week as he allegedly logged into a quote-unquote fake account to defend himself against Twitter trolls. And he was actually caught because one of the responses that he made, that he was supposed to be responding from his dummy account or private account, if you will, and not his official Twitter account, he actually posted from his KD Trey, whatever it is, Twitter account. So we got to see some tweets, and he, when he realized that he made the mistakes, he took them down, but he was responding to someone's comment and he posted from the wrong Twitter account. He commented about the fact that he didn't like playing for Billy Donovan. And he said that, basically that, outside of, him and Russell Westbrook, that, OKC sucked and they couldn't win without those two guys. So let's start right there, man. B, Twitter fingers, man, for Kevin Durant, man. What'd you think about that story, man?
Yeah, that's crazy how he threw pretty much the rest of his old teammates under the bus. I was like, wow, dude. And for him to mess up that way and to think that he was tweeting from his so-called, the account to go against the haters is, to me, is hilarious in itself. Social media moments like this is where because I didn't catch it. Like I missed that part. Like I didn't even know this all happened. So I'm pretty sure watching it unfold live was like hilarious. Moments like that is why I like Twitter, man. It's like, Jesus Christ, you get so caught up in it, but I missed it out. But when I went back and people was telling me on Twitter, what happened, I was just like, I just thought it was just hilarious, man. Like another lame old move you tried to make and it backfired on you. It's like well, what can you do? But I just thought it was interesting that he threw his old teammates under the bus. So I'm wondering, like, what's my man? What's the tall dude with the mustache? Adams and Cantor and like all those guys. What are all those guys thinking right now? Like that's still there. That was there when Kevin Durant was there. So and the coach. You know what I'm saying? Like you throwing the coach and your former teammates all under the bus. So yeah, man. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be looking forward to that Golden State versus OKC game. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be some extra elbows and stuff being thrown here and there. It's gonna be pretty interesting. I'm like that. I'm definitely enjoy that. So this is another reason why the NBA is just winning and winning and winning. I mean, we're still talking about the NBA. NBA is 4 weeks away. Ken had just texted that to us, which is crazy. So yeah, man, it's man, I love it, man. This is like NBA just keep getting stories. I know Adam Silver is just loving it, man. I know he has to just be loving this right now. Like we are still talking about we've been talking about the NBA literally from January 1st of this year, and we're still talking about it right now. And it looks like it's going to be that way up until December 31st of this year and so on. So like this is nuts, man. This is definitely nuts. But yeah, KD, man, give an assistant or someone to kind of handle that. Your Twitter, your troller Twitter accounts or something, man. Please, like you're looking bad, bro. Because ain't no telling what something else he might say, about teammates he's playing with now or something. Right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, hey, Kevin Durant, man, stay strong, bro. Stay black, man. Stay black, bro.
Ken, what about you, man? What do you think about Kevin Durant's Twitter fingers, man?
Man, I've never seen anybody win so much only to lose so much all in 1 year. Like, dude, like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
Like, this
man.
is sad. This is so sad. I love that KD engages with his fans on Twitter. I love that he even addressed the trolls and the critics. You know, players deserve the right to shoot back. You know, that's just how I feel. And you know, but to do it this way, to have burner Twitter accounts to be out there responding to people,
I love that burner Twitter.
that is crazy to me. Like I know, like Coach K, not Coach K, but John Calipari in Kentucky. He has, and there's some other college basketball coaches and other coaches that have fake Twitter accounts but they don't follow anybody. They just lurk and they just follow their players. Like, they've admitted that, but they don't have personal accounts themselves, but they just have accounts just kind of keep up with their players. But to create an account, to go on Twitter and to defend yourself against somebody else in an imaginary third person, it's just unreal to me. At the end of the year, we're going to look at this as one of the greatest fails of 2017. And this may go down in history. I've never heard anything like this before. You just won an NBA title. Granted, it was one of the weakest titles in NBA history. But the fact is, you know, you won it and you got it. It's all yours. You didn't have to do this. But what I did like out of it, though, is that we can finally dispel the myth of him not wanting to play with Russ, because, like B said, he didn't say anything negative about Russ, and he very well could have. It was all about...
Yeah, he could have, yeah.
Yeah, it was about the players and the one guy that I have been telling you guys about on this very show, Billy Donovan. But y'all didn't want to listen to me. I tried to tell y'all about this guy, but no. No, nobody wanted to listen to me. Kevin Durant proved me right with his burner account.
Yo, FIFO, man, what did you take? What was your take on this, man? When you heard about this story?
KD might be the one guy that just cares way too much.
Way too much.
Way too much. You know, like it's so interesting because the narrative for every professional athlete is, oh, you know, we block out the noise. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So I beg the question: how many other professional athletes do you think have burner accounts? You know, because KD not the only one.
He definitely the only one.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just proven now that other athletes do, and a lot of athletes. I think it has to do with the instant access that we have to everything and everybody, right? So you try to protect your image as much as possible because you could feel the heat. You know, like think about back in the day with the greats before this era. You couldn't really get to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they could block out more noise, but now when that thing is just a notification, when you see 30,000 of them, think, man, like, look, when we post certain things on YouTube or, you know, especially Patreon now, and we start getting hella comments, I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? So can you imagine KD? Couple million? So it's, you know, I think that these athletes now are a little bit more sensitive, and I feel that they need to be able to protect themselves a little bit more in this social media age. And I understand it, but you know, it's definitely kind of weak because we didn't grow up with athletes to deal with this. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, oh well, yeah, Jordan wouldn't have had it. Well, we don't know what the hell Jordan would have did. You know what I'm saying? Like 30 years later, we're still rocking his gym shoes. So imagine the type of social media attention that guy would have got. You know what I'm saying? Like if we think it's crazy on LeBron and, you know, this whole Kyrie situation and KD and Jordan, man, come on, because it was crazy back then. So you know, at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. It's funny, it's hilarious, but it just sheds some light on not just KD, but I think other athletes. Like they're just unnamed at the moment.
You know, I think the other thing, Ralph, is you said it best, man. Like he cares too much, and he hasn't learned how to block out the noise. Like on a way infinitely smaller scale, we've had to learn to adjust to life online as a public figure, right? As somebody that can be and have been attacked, and people just put words in our mouths to say all kind of stuff. Like, we've had to adjust and learn not to respond to everything. And, that's something KD has to, and he probably will from now on, learn to do. Because at the end of the day, dude, like, you won an NBA title, you're a champion, you're the second best player in the world. Why are you concerned with somebody that's on Twitter that may be tweeting in their drawers in their bedroom? Like, come on, man.
Oh shit!
It does make him seem lame.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, I agree 1,000%. This is the most millennial thing that I've ever heard of. I like KD, man. I like him a lot, man. But FIFO said it best, man. I think he cares way too much. I read a story one time, and to be honest, I never follow up to find out if the story was accurate, or the report in the story was accurate, I should say. But in this particular report, it said that, it talked about how Kevin Durant, when he was at OKC, he would, check his after games. He would openly just check his Twitter timeline to see what people were saying about him that particular night. And I'm like, dog, and it wasn't even necessarily like at mentions. This was just like he would do a Twitter search just to see what people were saying about him that particular night. Like, just to see how many times his name was mentioned and, what people were saying. Bro, you are Kevin Durant. You are arguably, some might say the best player in the game. You're definitely, at worst, the second best player in the game. Why do you care? Like you said, we've come up and I guess maybe for me it's a little bit different because having grown up in the 80s and the 90s, I grew up in an era without. I went through my formative years and my high school years and college without social media. So while I enjoy it, I don't need it. It's not something that I gotta have. Like, if you took my cell phone away from me tomorrow, I'd be okay without Twitter. I don't feel like I'm gonna miss something because I've done so much without it. It is a good tool. Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff is cool. But it has its place, and I guess it has its place in life. Secondly, why do you care about what strangers have to say to you? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I don't care. I mean, people are gonna say whatever. It's somebody talking. For all of you listening, it's somebody talking about you right now. Somebody's probably saying something bad about you. That was probably somebody saying something bad about us right now. We don't care. I don't understand why Kevin Durant cares as much, because you can't please everybody. And I know the quickest way to be unhappy is trying to please people. Man, please your damn self. You don't have to justify, or you had your reasons for wanting to leave. You had your reasons for leaving. Same with Kyrie. You don't sit around and try to appease people, especially people you don't know. I learned a long time ago, the people who matter in your life, their opinions are the ones that matter. Anybody outside of that, I don't give a shit. It don't matter. It really doesn't. And I think it's sad that he's, kind of come to this. I can understand. Now, he mentioned, and he kind of backtracked, and he, admonished himself today at this press conference, saying that, what he did was idiotic, and, he felt bad, and he shouldn't have mentioned Billy Donovan's name or what have you. He didn't even mention about the fact that, he shouldn't have probably had another Twitter account. He said he uses, private social media accounts to, keep in contact with family and stuff like that. My thing is, why do you need that? You're Kevin Durant. You should be able to, text or whatever like that. You don't necessarily have to go through social media to keep up with family members. But if you want to have a private one, that's fine. Okay, cool. But man, stop caring, man. Just stop caring. You care way too much, and you can't appease people, because there's always for every 3 people that like you, there's gonna be one that don't. Just care about the ones that like you, and don't care too much about the ones that like you, because if they ain't paying your bills, if they're not making you happy, man, the hell with them. And he's a public figure, so again, this is coming from somebody who did not grow up in the social media era, so I don't need it. So it's not something that I gotta have per se. And his generation, very millennial, they live on this stuff, and I get it. I have kids, I get it. I understand why that stuff is important to them. That being said, you can't live your life in 140 characters. You just can't. You can't live based on what people think about you. It's got to be more so about what you think about yourself and those around you. If you're cool with who you are, the man that you see in the mirror, and you're cool with the people that are around you, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. So I hope he it kind of lucked out for him, man, because he could have said, so what if he said something real? What if he said, like, man, the hell with Westbrook, I never liked him. That would have really been damning. But yeah, man, just get rid of that stuff. Either get rid of it or learn how to maintain it. Like B said, get somebody else to handle your stuff, man. You obviously don't have a good hold on it, but stop caring. Don't care too much. Before we get out of here, man, your boy Shaq is back in the news. Shaq made headlines. He was talking last week about Kobe, as we mentioned last week. Kobe getting both the number 8 and number 24 retired by the Lakers. Shaq said, quote, he and Kobe were a better 1-2 punch than Magic and Kareem, close quote. FIFO, is he telling the truth? Which duo was better?
Oh, man. When he said that, I really started thinking. I really started thinking. And I think that if you were to build like, who's more cohesive is definitely Magic and Kareem, right? Because it's a point guard and a shooting guard. It's a point guard, a pure point guard, the purest of the pure, point, with a guy that had a center with an unstoppable move. Like, you can't paint, like, that's what basketball is predicated off of. Like, the guy setting up the other guy, and the guy has an unstoppable move, and the guy sees everything, right? The other guy. So when you look at Kobe and Shaq, if I'm thinking more dominant, I'm taking Kobe and Shaq. But if I'm building a team and all of that, I'm taking Magic. So if you put money on the table and you like, look, you got to pick one, I'm gonna take Kobe and Shaq. Okay. I'm gonna take Kobe and Shaq, man, because look, man, we talking about a guy that can score 80 points. Right, and you know how I feel about Shaq. I feel like Shaq is a Mount Rushmore player. I think Shaq is the most physically
Mount Rushmore.
Well, okay, he's on the list. He's like on the list to get next, but no, he's not on Mount Rushmore. But he's way up there. I think he's like top 3 best big men ever. You know what I'm saying? Just how big he was, how nimble he was, how he knew. Like, I feel like he understood jiu-jitsu. Because he will use everybody leaning all up against him because he weighed 3-something. He spin right off him and get right up off the ground quicker than what you thought he could do. So I just think that those two guys in their prime were too dominant. Like, if they played a 2-on-2, I don't know what Magic gonna do to stop Kobe. I don't know what he's gonna do. Kobe gonna cook him. Kobe is going to cook him. And yes, Kareem is nice. What are you going to do with Shaq? Come on, what are you going to do with Shaq, man?
Oh, man.
What about you, B? What about you, B? Is he right? Were they a better 1-2 punch? Is he telling the truth? Which duo was better? And we're not necessarily talking one. FIFO went 1-on-1. We don't necessarily have to talk 1-on-1, but just, generally speaking, which was a better 1-2, or you can talk 1-on-1, but which duo was better as far as a 1-2 punch?
I would probably have to go with Magic and Kareem just because of the impact of the game that they made, and they pretty much.
How does that make them better, B? How does that make?
I'm gonna have to go with. I mean, they were the Showtime freaking Lakers, man. Like they started like a movement out in LA that I don't think that Kobe and Shaq did. Now, granted, okay, yeah, two different eras, so it's kind of hard to compare to that.
Yeah, it is. It always is.
But yeah, man. I mean, FIFO, you talking about what Kareem can do with Shaq? I mean, what Shaq can do with Kareem? I mean, this man got the freaking sky hook, dude, an unblockable shot. And I mean, granted, like I said again, people errors. He managed to handle Wilt Chamberlain pretty well. Wilt Chamberlain said, "Hey, out of all the centers I guarded, he was the only one I felt I needed help on. I needed help." So I'm pretty sure Shaq would have been the same way. Sky hooked his ass to death. You know what I'm saying? He was
like the first Shaq too.
You said what?
I said Wilt was like the first Shaq.
Right. So I mean, they both damn near pretty much cancel each other out. And then you got Magic out there making everyone better. Something that you FIFO always used to say that was a knock on Kobe whenever the Kobe versus LeBron discussion comes up. You got someone like Magic that can get everybody going. You know what I'm saying? And still have that killer instinct. So
B, did you hear what I said?
I might have to get a slight edge to Magic and Kareem. And the fact that they got 5 championships together. So, So there it is.
B, did you hear what I said? I said if I was GMing this thing, I would take Magic and Kareem. But if I'm taking them like just as individual talents, as a duo, I'm taking Kobe and Shaq.
You're hedging, FIFO. Huh? You're hedging. You're hedging.
You're really straddling the fence, bro.
Big time, dude.
You got to be on one side of the fence, bro.
Yeah, man. Ain't no if I'm a GM, if I'm a flat out. If you picking, who you picking?
You over there sounding like Herman Cain, man.
Yeah, it don't matter if you a GM. We not saying if you a GM. We just said flat out. Do you agree with what Shaq said?
1-2 punch. Just not even talking 1-on-1. We're talking about just as a 1-2 punch on a night-to-night basis in their particular eras. Okay.
I'm taking Kobe Shaq as a duo.
Right. What about you, Ken? Is he right, man? Who
man, no, he ain't. Kyle, you don't even have to finish the question, man. Of course he ain't right. No, he's not. He's not right. No, better duo. Like we could. Who did this math? Somebody did this math before.
But I mean, it's an argument though, Ken.
It is.
It's not just easy. Give him okay. But it's an argument. I mean, it's definitely an argument. Because I mean, you pretty much arguing 2 of the best Lakers to ever play in Kobe and Magic. So whenever you always ask who's the best Laker, one of those guys are always mentioned. So I mean, it's an argument.
Why did Jordan take Kobe over LeBron? He said it's simple math.
What'd you say? Oh, ring.
He said simple math.
Ring.
He said it was simple math.
Because ring.
5 is greater than 3.
5 is more than 3.
Right. 5 is greater than 3 as a duo. 9. I looked it up. 9 NBA MVPs, 21 NBA All-Star selections, 5 titles, 5 Finals MVPs. They have scored as a duo 4,761 more points than Jordan and Pippen, and they won 6. Come on, man. Like, yeah, it's close. Like you know, if you really have to sit down and think about it, there are a lot of things you have to take into consideration. But man, people are saying Kareem is one of the best. No, not one of. People are saying Kareem is the best NBA player ever. They're saying he's the best player ever in the NBA.
Oh yeah, he's starting to get love now as far as like the GOATs conversation now. Because at first he wasn't.
Yeah, because people don't like and that's because people don't like Kareem. A lot of people
it started out that way because his activism and stuff like that. So he
was an asshole. So
yeah, he wasn't very friendly with the media. But yeah, man, this duo was freaking lethal, and from what I can tell, they liked each other. So Kobe and Shaq, for all their accomplishments, didn't like each other. But I looked up Kobe and Shaq's numbers, and my answers I think is Kareem and Magic, and I'm not trying to be a prisoner to me growing up. I did want to kind of look at this a little objectively. But because when you look at Shaq and Kobe's numbers, man, like that first title, man, like they didn't fall off until like the 3rd title, right? The 3rd title, Shaq had 28 and 12. Kobe had 26, 5 and 4. But that middle title is the one that did, man. That middle title, Shaq put up 30, 15, and 3 assists, and Kobe put up 29.47 and 6.
You mean when they beat Philly?
Yeah. That's freaking nuts. And then the first one, Shaq put up 30 and 15.
They almost swept the entire playoffs that year.
Yeah, and
If
then
it
Kobe
wasn't
put
for the
up
step over game by Ivo, they'd have been perfect.
And then Kobe was 21-4-4. But here's where I give them the edge: tougher competition. Like when they played and when that dynasty was formed, it was when the competition was high in the league. And that's why I'll give them the edge. They just played against better, tougher players than Shaq and Kobe did. Indiana and Philly with one player.
Hey man, you know my motto. You can only play who's on your schedule.
I know, man.
But I agree. I got to make it a trifecta, man. Kobe and Shaq were dope, man. They what they did, I don't know that we'll see for a while, especially inside and out, because, you can make a case that big men are non-existent as far as post play. We haven't seen the likes of that since the Shaqs or since the Olajuwon, those type of players, Patrick Ewings. But I started watching basketball, man, in 1980. That's as far back as I can remember as far as watching basketball. So I saw Magic as a rookie, and Kareem was actually on the downside of his career, but he was still getting you 20, 24 a night, but like B said, the sky hook, when you threw it into Kareem and he could do the hook off for either foot, either hand. I mean, he was deadly. I can't remember Kareem missing like 2 hook shots in my memory. Now I'm sure that he has missed them, but he was automatic, man. And it's weird that nobody ever used or perfected that shot the way that he did. That hook shot probably added another 6 or 7 years to his career. But I think 1-2 punch, man, it was Kareem and Magic, man. They just, and even as Kareem got older and he wasn't able to necessarily, get up and down the floor, he still was the anchor of the Showtime Lakers. And, a lot of times it would start with him on the defensive end with a block shot or his presence in the middle, getting them started on the break. And then, sometimes Kareem would still finish on the break, even, when he was well into his late 30s. Yeah, sometimes when he was well into his mid to late 30s. Man.
Like
so,
Zeke.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, I gotta go Kareem and Magic, man. Magic was he was unbelievable, man. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, like, I tell them all the time, like, go watch YouTube. You'll see some Magic clips, but I don't even know, in sending them to watch YouTube clips, I don't know if that necessarily still shows you how great of a player Magic Johnson was. And, the cool part about it was Magic did it with a smile. They would be killing you and he'd be out there laughing and joking and having a good time. And, if you weren't a Lakers fan, you hated the Lakers. I still hate the Lakers to this day, but I respect, what they did, man. And it was incredible. And again, at that particular time and in the 80s, we'd never seen nothing like it, man. You were 6'9". There was no way that you could play on the perimeter. You had the 6'9" guys, they threw you in the post. Magic was a 6'9" guy who had handles. His jumper wasn't that reliable, but it was efficient. But he didn't have to. He could get past you. And, if you wanted to double him, he could see over, you couldn't bring somebody to come double him. If he backed you down in the post, it was money. Again, that's taking nothing away from Shaq. Shaq and Kobe were dominant in their era. I really wish, even not being a Lakers fan, I wish that Kobe and Shaq had stayed together, because I think they could have run off at least 7 or 8 titles had they stayed together. And I understand why they didn't. I don't like the fact that they didn't, because I think they robbed us as fans from seeing their greatness. But Shaq tripping on this one. Magic and Kareem, best 1-2 punch in NBA history, in my opinion.
Man, this is nuts, though, man. Like, real quick, like that 1999-2000 title, O'Neal.
Their numbers are crazy.
Man, 46, 43, 41, 41, 40 plus 8 other 30-point games. Man, Shaq, man, that's nuts.
He was a force, man. He was a force. You couldn't do nothing with him.
No, you couldn't. At best, you could foul him and send him to the free throw line. And even then, he still would, still keep getting to the free throw. And he wasn't scared. He wasn't making the shots, but he was still getting to the free throw line. And like I said, I don't want to say never, but it's going to be a long time before we see that kind of combination ever again. Before we get out of here, man, I almost forgot the fight this past weekend. Canelo and Triple G was scored a draw. Ken, I know you say you didn't see the fight. FIFO, what were your thoughts on the fight, man?
It was a damn good fight. It was worth what I paid. The $80 pay-per-view joint. So it was definitely worth that. Who the hell paid that one ref or that judge? Because golly, you like they told you just to blatantly, score for Canelo. Like they didn't even say, just make a little, what I'm saying, don't bring too much attention. Like that was crazy. But nah, man, it was a good fight. It you know how they say the old adage, style makes fights.
Style makes fights, right?
And this is exactly what that was. The thing that surprised me when Canelo got to the ring, I was like, is Canelo bigger than Triple J? Like that kind of threw me off. I didn't think that Canelo was gonna look like the bigger man, but Triple G, the first couple rounds, man, it was tough going for him. And then he picked up the pace and he landed some shots, boy. That dude right there, you couldn't pay me. Well, yeah, you could pay me enough. But you pay me what you pay Canelo or Triple G. I'll definitely take a couple punches. I'll be out in the first 30 seconds though. But yeah, man, they was trading shots. It was a damn good fight. And the thing that's sad is both of these guys have to have that draw on their record now. And it's unfortunate because if Triple G would have won, there still would have been a rematch. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that we had to, or whoever paid for this draw, I don't think we needed that to get the rematch. I think we would have got the rematch anyway. But yeah, man, it was unfortunate. I think the whole, the outcome of it was a great fight, but it shouldn't end in a draw. Like there should have been a clear-cut winner and loser in this fight. And I think that's just unfortunate for boxing, man. I think boxing has lost. It's been losing, but just in terms of its scoring, it's lost a lot of credibility. And I talked about it last time when I actually had the fight party. I invited nobody but Beezy. I think boxing needs to go to a league format. I think that the best fighters need to fight the best fighters in their prime. I think they need to be compensated for it. All of these belts. Where all these belts come from, man? Like it don't make no sense.
It's 1,000 belts, man.
IBF, WBU, world champion, man. Who is that? Who's the sanctioning body? Somebody need to find Shorty. I know she got suspended or whatever, but that ain't enough. It's just boxing. I love boxing. I like the art of boxing, love the sport of boxing. But they need to figure it out. Because this to me, it was just unacceptable. It was just sad.
True indeed. What about you, B? You're a big fight fan. What did you think about the fight, man?
Yeah, man, I thought it was a good fight, man. And I think it was definitely, it lived up to the anticipation of, because us boxing fans been wanting to see this fight happen since about over a year now. So, I think it was a great fight. I think Canelo was ready. He was definitely taking some shots and dodging some shots from Triple G. I just think Triple G did a great job of cutting the ring off on Canelo and not making him too comfortable and not making it out the ring, in the middle of the ring, because he had him up against the ropes a lot, and he was hitting him with them body shots a lot. Like I said, Canelo was ready, because any other fighter, they would have ended up breaking down just from them body shots that he was taking from Triple G. But and that 118, 110, I still don't understand that. Unfortunate. Now we have a draw. It's a blemish on Triple G's record, because he was a perfect 37-0 with 34 knockouts. We already know Canelo already had his L from Mayweather, but Canelo's been a better fighter since then. I thought it lived up to everything, man. It's just unfortunate that stuff like this is unfortunate that we can't get a clear winner when it clearly was a clear winner. And you got to have a controversy from the judges. It kind of puts a stain on this fight, by the anticipation building up. We had a great fight, a very entertaining fight, but then it just left us with a sour taste in the mouth with the judges. You know what I'm saying? This has been going on in boxing for years, and this is, and I hate that this happened, and this is why UFC is like climbing and climbing, because we never talk about controversial decisions and stuff like that with UFC. Whenever it's a big fight going on, you never say, "Oh man, I can't believe the judge scored that." Everything is always a clear-cut winner. You know who won the fight. There's no questions asked. And I hate that with a great anticipation fight like this, it left us with a sour taste in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Even though we all enjoyed it, all of us that watched it, me, people, and Kyle, we enjoyed the fight, but it just left us with that sour taste in the mouth due to the judge calling.
Yeah, I agree with the two of you, man. I thought it was a great fight. Shout out to Twitter for putting the link up, because I had no I had no intentions on finding it. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying that I watched it illegally, but nobody listens. Nonetheless, yeah, man, I thought it was a great fight. It was like B said, very highly anticipated, man. I was surprised that Canelo got off to the start that he did. And I was like, man, okay, Triple G is in a little bit of trouble. But, you kind of saw around the third, fourth round, he started to, like B said, cut off the ring. And, I like the fact, man, it was just two dudes that was in there just, they were swinging. It was just guys throwing shots, body shots and everything like that. And we actually got to see guys box. It wasn't, and people listening know it. I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather style, so we didn't get a chance to see that type of BS. We saw actual fight. I think, to me, and now, of course, I'm not a judge or anything like that, but I thought Triple G won. And I think you could probably make a case that it was close, I guess. But to me, I didn't think it was that close. It was close enough. But like me and B were talking about the other day, the problem that I have is that you have one judge, her card was so far away from, how she scored it, as opposed to the other two judges. It was almost like one judge wrote his score down, another judge wrote his score down. She's like, oh, let me just write something down. And that's what it looked like. And it's not a good look, because there's nobody in boxing when that type of stuff happens, there's no governing body that can hold them accountable. And I think because of the anticipation and the numbers that they did, I think we were going to get a rematch regardless of who won. So we knew we were going to get a great fight. We knew almost certain that we were going to get a rematch. So for it to end in a draw was disappointing, though, man. I wasn't a fan of that at all. But hopefully they can get it better, man. But it's another stain on boxing, man. It's another stain on boxing. People pay really, really good money to watch these fights, and or they watch them illegally, and nonetheless they want to see a good fight. And I think we got a good fight. At the very least, there should have been a decision. A draw, I don't think it doesn't help boxing at all, and it damn sure don't help these fighters, because they both of them fought their heart out. Now it's time for us to wrap up the podcast, as we all do. We want to thank you all for checking us out. Now it's time for our parting shots. B, what about you? What's your closing thought?
My closing thought is, I think I tweeted this earlier, but for all you Falcon fans, you are the enemy this week. I think this is a great. This should be the game of the week. I think this upcoming Sunday, the Lions and the Falcons. And I'm not saying that because it's my Lions. I'm just saying that because now we have. I'm not seriously. I'm hard. I'm tough on my Lions, man. I mean, I just think I think with Falcons coming off the season that they just came off of, and they both teams are starting off good. Both teams seem the defense on the defensive side of the ball. They both seem like they're the real deal. They both can put up points. So I think this is going to be great to see these two matching up at the third week of the NFL before we get these bye weeks start kicking in. I think this should be the game of the week. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Atlanta Falcons, you are the enemy. I do not want to go to work Monday like, my Lions catching the L. I want to pump my chest. I want to pump my chest so loud come Monday. So I hope we have a good game. Is in Detroit. So I think hopefully that we usually Matthew Stafford is pretty on the money when he's at home. But then again, it's in a dome, so that Falcons' home is a dome, so it's not like they're playing in unfamiliar territory. A dome is comfortable for the Falcons as well. So I think it's gonna be a good game. I hope we be in for a 30, 40 something shootout or whatever, man. But yeah, that's my final word, man. Go Lions. Let's try to start the season off 3-0, man. And if we win this game, maybe people might start taking us seriously. Who knows? If the Lions win a freaking Super Bowl at some point anytime soon, I am going to cry tears of joy. I already said that. I already know I am. I'm going to cry tears of joy. So Lions, if they can pull this off, some miracle down in the future and win a Super Bowl, and plus let's first win this game this week. Hey, I'm going to be happy, man. I'm going to be so happy.
No doubt. FIFA, you got your final thought together?
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Sometimes I just have to go back on certain things that I say. But I'm drinking the Georgia juice for 2017, man. Atlanta United, UGA football, Jake Fromm, the boy Matt Ryan. The only thing I'm not drinking is the Braves and the Hawks. But everything else right now, man, look, man, you know what? I think I'm just excited to be part of an ever-changing city. I'm seeing the expansion right before my eyes, and I haven't even been here as long as some of you guys. So I know you guys seen Atlanta transform even more. So it's just crazy, man. And I look, the city only has 2 championships total, and I think that we are finally poised for more. I think we are setting ourselves up in multiple sports to actually truly compete for championships, and I'm just excited to be part of the movement that's happening in Atlanta sports.
No doubt. What about you, Ken?
B, I need your help, and hopefully you can help me out here. I got a couple of questions for you about the Detroit Lions. Who's the head coach of the Detroit Lions?
Caldwell.
All right, and who's the offensive coordinator? Is that Cooter guy?
Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm. He took over for Joe Lombardi, right? And Caldwell in 2015 fired him because they started out 1-6. Is that right?
Yep.
Something like that? Okay.
Yep.
When did you guys get the new GM, Bob Quinn?
Ooh, that's a good question. When did we get Bob?
2016?
It was kind of recently.
Bob Quinn was hired as the Detroit Lions general manager on January 8, 2016. I ask all of these questions because Cowherd said, and he was pumping up the Lions, and he was praising Bob Quinn, and instead of giving Caldwell the credit for the Lions, he gave it to Jim Bob Cooter. And he said that Jim Bob Cooter was a hire of Bob Quinn, and that, if it wasn't for Bob Quinn making that decision, then they wouldn't be where they are now. I say all that to say that, man, I just don't recall ever really of anybody giving an offensive coordinator credit over a head coach like that. Right. It's just when I heard it, I was like, wait, when did he become the head coach? And like that, why is he giving Bob Quinn credit for Jim Bob Cooter when Jim Caldwell made the decision to get rid of Joe Lombardi and promote Jim Bob Cooter to offensive coordinator? And maybe he just got it mixed up. They talk real quick on that show, and sometimes they don't get the facts correct. But all I'm saying is that give the brother some credit, man. Give the brother some credit. Don't do that, man, like that. Bob Quinn also made the decision to bring back Jim Caldwell for the 2017 season. Is that or is that not correct, B?
That's correct.
All right. Give that man some credit. How you just going to skip over the head coach? Jim, come on, man. Y'all got to be better than that. So, Jim Caldwell, good job, and I hope you continue a good job because everybody on this show know that I'm pro brother.
No doubt, no doubt. Speaking of, we talk sports here, and a lot of times you'll hear people say from time to time, why don't you just stick to sports? Why don't you guys just stick to sports? Well, nobody's actually approached me about it because they probably would get cussed out. But, I mentioned on previous podcasts that, we're going to talk not just about sports, but the world around sports. And obviously, with the events that have happened over the last year, or actually last years, sports and politics have become, kind of intertwined, if you will. And I will make a case that they are both one and the same. Sports and politics are cousins. Perfect example. We just got notification earlier today that Chris Long, the Eagles defensive lineman, is going to give 6 of his game checks to Charlottesville. If you are familiar with Chris Long is a grad of the University of Virginia, which is in Charlottesville, and we know what happened in Charlottesville. Also, J.J. Watt, after Hurricane Harvey, he, set out on a mission to raise $200,000 in relief aid. Well, that mission started out at $200,000 and, reached $37 million. Raising money and donating money is something political. So, again, sports and politics they go hand in hand, and they actually are cousins. I came across a tweet from a gentleman by the name of David Dennis Jr., and I'll read it to you. And it says, quote, sports is providing generational wealth for people of color who have constantly been denied such. Sports is political. Sports is one of the only spaces in America where people of color who are good at something are rewarded for it with wealth. Sports is political. Whole black communities revolve around the economics of upward mobility sports provides. Sports is political. The act of building stadiums is one of the most political processes in state legislature. Sports is political. Millions of people of color have become the first in their families to graduate from college thanks to sports scholarships. Sports is political. Tell Jackie Robinson that sports isn't political. Tell Muhammad Ali that sports isn't political. Tell Mahmoud Abdul Rauf sports isn't political. Jesse Owens toppled Hitler's racist superior man ideas in front of the world. Sports is political. Want to know why else sports is political? Because being black is political. And being black and excellent is an excellent act of political resistance. Close quote. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for checking out another edition of the Dead End Sports Podcast. For Beezy, for FIFO, and for Ken, I'm your host, 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Audi 5000.